Are you doing it daily? That's a big, big problem. You're going to burn yourself out and you're going to make major, major, major mistakes. Possibly you could lose everything. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Obsidian Achievement. This is your host, Mike Russin. Thank you for joining me. Today, this morning, actually on my ride to the gym, I was so calm that I was scared. So I get in my car this morning. I do my normal routine. I get up, let the birds and the dog out. I drink a bunch of water. I have my cold. Actually, first thing I do when I get out of bed is right in the cold plunge. After that, let the dogs out, the dog, and then the chickens and the ducks out, feed everybody, go inside. I have my liter of water. I take my supplements, and then I sit down to munch on some fruit and steak left over from the night before and read and pray. And this morning I get into my car and I'm driving to the gym and I'm trying to bang out this podcast episode. You could actually go listen to it. It has something to do with meat and slipping gears. You'll find it. And I was just out of sorts. I was out of sorts and I couldn't figure out why. I was having such a hard time getting the podcast recorded. Ideas weren't coming to me. I felt a little off. And I'm like, all right, so I'm assuming the gym's going to fix this problem. So I go in, I have a great workout. I had a stellar workout, but I was very focused, but focused in a more calm way. I felt that I was very effective with what I did. I slowed a lot of my movements down. I'm practicing. I'm trying to slow down. I've been in the gym so long now that, I can lift some very heavy weight. I think my max bench right now is probably close to 430. My max squats, well over 500 pounds. My deadlift's probably close to 600. I'm pulling some decent weight. I'm trying to join the 2,000 pound club here pretty soon. There we go. The 2,000 pound club here very soon. And I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to have a 3-second, what's that called? Descension, ascension, eccentric. I don't know. All this lifting science nonsense. I've got all these words scrambled. If I'm benching, when I'm coming down, I'm trying to take 3 seconds and then exploding up, right? If I'm doing a curl, I'm trying to go 3 seconds down and then exploding up. Like I'm focusing more on slowing my movements down. I'm going to turn this motion off. I don't know that that's especially helpful. I ain't going anywhere. AI is following me. Anyways, I have this great workout and I get in my car and I'm driving and I'm just like looking at the clouds. It's a quintessential Maine summer day. It's like mid 70s or low 70s. The clouds, there's a cloudy sky, but it's like the big fluffy white clouds. The sun's still poking through. Birds are chirping. The leaves are green. And I'm like, I know what my problem is. I'm not anxious. I'm calm right now. And it was just so strange. Like I just had this epiphany that I was calm. I wasn't rushing. I didn't feel like the pressure and the need to like perform and do something and use my hands or my mind or whatever. I just was cruising along. And I realized that for the past, 11 years of my life, I've spent it in a nearly constant state of anxiety. And that's what I want to talk about with you all today. There's a book that I've recommended to many of you many times on the podcast. I've recommended to many of you personally called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. It's a great book. And in this book, he talks about this subject. It was weird. I feel like I just read this 3 or 4 days ago. And then today I had this calm. It's almost like, why it made me uncomfortable? It would be like if you didn't like being touched or had never been to a massage before and went to a massage. For me, I get massages almost every single week. I used to get them twice a week. So I'm very used to it, right? That person going for their first massage is always a little bit uncomfortable. If you're not used to being touched, it makes you extremely uncomfortable. Well, I'm so not used at all to being calm that it made me uncomfortable. I was looking for something to be wrong. And, Naval talks about this, and he says that a little bit of anxiety is good and it's necessary for building. So if you're going to build businesses, if you're going to be a high performer, if you're going to be an athlete, think about the pressure and the stress that D1 athletes, professional athletes are under every time they touch the field. There's anxiety associated with that. If you're in sales or leadership, there's anxiety associated with that. If you're an entrepreneur, there's anxiety associated with that. If you're a trader or you're on Wall Street, there is a massive amount of anxiety associated with that. I think that across these high performing industries, drug and alcohol abuse are very, very high. Why? Because people are trying to control that roiling internal anxiety. And today I was calm. Why was I calm today? There was no reason that stands out. That's why I was calm. I didn't take any new supplements. I did have a very good night's sleep. But I think I'm starting to get used to, my mind is now moving at an optimal pace. That's the way I should phrase it. I'm experiencing less anxiety in my life. And this is probably the hardest I've been tested in my 31-year existence on this planet. But I am experiencing less anxiety in my life now than I ever have, because my mind and my spirit are running optimally. So I think number one, first and foremost, if I could go back, I feel closer to God now than I have probably ever in my life. I think that's the number one reason that I'm experiencing such low anxiety. His peace surpasses all understanding. So it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. If you are living in alignment with God, and I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm living a lot better than I was 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3, 4 years ago, right? I'm more in alignment with what God wants for me, I believe. And the evidence in my life supports that. Things are going very, very well, despite the attacks, despite all the other nonsense and issues going on, despite this, that, and the other thing. My businesses are doing better than they ever have. I've got a beautiful daughter. My wife's ultrasound on our second child was perfect the other day. There are so many blessings I could point to in my life that I'm just not even going to get into now. And all of these to me are indications that I am living in accordance with God's will, mostly. Probably not perfectly. I've got work to do like any other human being does, but I think more now than ever. So that's the first reason why I think I'm experiencing less anxiety just in the past couple of weeks. Number two, I believe, again, I kind of touched on this. I believe that my mind is running more optimally than it normally does. In other words, it's running at a more optimal pace. My mind doesn't feel like it needs to race forward quite as much anymore because I'm getting things done so efficiently. It used to be that there was so much to get done. You couldn't get it done in time. I wasted a lot of time doing things that didn't matter, meetings that didn't matter, obligations that didn't matter, this that didn't matter. Now that I'm doing what I want to do, I'm doing what I want to do, if that makes sense. So I'm able to make sure that every single day, every action that I engage in is something that I chose to do. And I have the discipline personally to make sure that the actions that I choose to partake in are edifying, are building my businesses, my marriage, my relationships, my role as a father, in my spiritual development, as well as my physical development. Everything I'm doing in my life right now is optimal, is the best way I would describe it, is extremely optimal and efficient. So I think that puts my mind at ease. And number three, I've come to the point where I no longer am worried about money. Not that I have so much, I have a good amount, but not that I have so much that I'm not worried about it anymore. But I've proven time and time again that I'm able to make it so easily. And I have systems in my life and safes, bulletproof safes and vaults, and not actual physical ones, but in the data and encryption and digital world for sure. I'm pretty well safeguarded against everything but nuclear holocaust. And in that case, I'm still going to be okay. Me and my family will be fine. So I don't really have too much to be worried about. I have everything to be worried about. You're probably sitting here thinking like, oh, if you don't know me, this guy has no problems. If you know me, you know there's a lot going on right now, but I'm at more peace than I've ever been in my entire life. How do you explain that? How do you explain that I think that a lot of men in my situation, a lot of people in my situation in general, and I'm not being egotistical, I've just been through 11 years of battle to prepare me for this moment. I think that a lot of people would crack in this scenario. And moreover, back to the money point, I've realized that there's a diminishing marginal returns when it comes to money and happiness. And first of all, let's just discuss that money doesn't bring you happiness. Money solves money problems. It's a good thing to have. Everybody's got money problems. You got a lot of money, you don't have money problems anymore. But it doesn't remove your relationship problems. It doesn't remove your marital problems. It doesn't remove your physical problems. It doesn't remove your mental problems. It doesn't remove your spiritual sicknesses. It just fixes money problems. That's all money fixes, is money problems, right? You could have all the money in the world and you could throw it at all the new medicine and this and that in the world. But if you don't take care of your body in terms of diet and exercise, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You're not going to be here long to enjoy it, right? So I'm at a calmer place than I've ever been, and I'm experiencing less anxiety than I ever have. And I just, I was talking to one of my business partners on the phone today. He's like, dude, you all right? I'm like, yeah. I told him I was just thinking, but I was just listening to him and I was just calm. Usually I'm very much like on to the next. Yeah. Okay, get to the point. I'm calm. I've got time to listen now. But back to what I was saying about anxiety in general. Anxiety is important. And if you're at a place in your life right now where you're building, especially businesses, financially, entrepreneurially, you need anxiety, because anxiety forces you into action if you're the right person. Anxiety either it paralyzes the weak. Here we go. I want to restart this. Anxiety either paralyzes the weak or it spurs the strong onward to action. So let me ask you, when you experience waves of anxiety, do you just freeze and stare at your phone and lay in your bed and hide from the world? Or are you the type of person that uses it to go out and get things done? Anxiety used properly is a fuel, but the problem is it's a costly fuel, number one. Number two, it burns very quickly. And number three, it can burn out of control. It's a costly fuel. It burns very quickly, and it can often burn out of control. That's why you have to be intelligent when using anxiety. There's no way to start a business or to be an entrepreneur or to be highly successful or to be an athlete or to be any type of special person in any area of achievement without there being anxiety. You just need to know how to use it and when it's appropriate. You need to make sure that if you're in a position where you're weaponizing, I like to be aggressive and offensive, like not offensive, but on offense with my language. You should be using and weaponizing your anxiety for good. You should be okay, I'm anxious right now. That's an indication, my brain. What is anxiety? Anxiety is a signal that something's off, something's not right, something needs to get done, right? There's that fight or flight, that what's that called? Parasympathetic response, right? Anxiety, when used properly and channeled properly, you can learn to use it to help. Every achievement I've ever had in my life, I don't know about you, maybe you're different. Maybe you're cool as a cucumber. I doubt it. Even the most battle-tested warriors are anxious. You'll see it. You'll see these fighters. They're out there and they're just cool, calm, composed. And then after the fight and post interviews, they're like, dude, I was terrified. Mike Tyson cried before his fights. This is the baddest dude on the planet. This is the scariest dude on the planet. Used to cry before his fights. Anxious, right? I don't think I've got a major achievement in my life that wasn't in the footnotes. Anxiety didn't play a role. Sorry, I'm sweating, so I'm like dripping down my back right now. I'm getting itchy. Anxiety didn't play a role in those. It played a role in every single one of them. So you have to learn how to use anxiety. It can either be your best friend or it can be your worst possible enemy. But you need to make sure that you manage it properly. Managing anxiety has to do with your diet, your exercise, what you are consuming with your mind, but most importantly, your relationship with God. I want to pin that and pin it at the top of the page, not come back to it. We're talking about it right now. Everybody listening to me right now, if you are a young man or you are a young woman and you are in the entrepreneurial field, you are in sales, you're in leadership, you're in a high drive industry, I'm going to tell you right now that regardless if you're in real estate, you're in finance, you're in sales, you're in insurance, it doesn't matter what industry you are in. Drugs and alcohol are part of the culture. And I'm not telling you to never have fun. That would be stupid because I know you wouldn't listen to me. I'm not telling you to never party and pop some bottles in VIP to celebrate a big month. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, are you doing it weekly? Are you doing it daily? That's a big, big problem. You're going to burn yourself out and you're going to make major, major, major mistakes. Possibly you could lose everything as a result of one mistake, one DUI, one car crash, one you're ripping a line off the table and your boss comes in and fires you from the real estate conglomerate, something. Seriously, you think it's funny? This happens to people every single day in America, all over the world. At the end of the day, your relationship with God is going to be like, that's your relationship with God is your gyroscope. So in space shuttles, there's what's called a gyroscope. So if I launch a space shuttle from the Earth to the moon, on its way to the moon, I believe it's only on course, directly on course, less than 3% of the time, but it still reaches the moon. How is that possible? The gyroscope is always pointing towards the moon, no matter what the ship does. So I know my camera just blinked at me. The gyroscope is always pointing towards the moon, regardless of what the ship does. What that gyroscope does, as it's always pointing towards the moon, is it's making micro corrections and micro calculations, and then corrections. Well, rather the ship's motherboard essentially is making the calculations and then corrections to that ship's course. -2.5 degrees east, -2.5 degrees southwest, -1.4 degrees. You know what I'm saying? It's making these little micro adjustments. That gyroscope in you is God, in your relationship or lack of. You see these people that take off on a trajectory for the moon and they land on the opposite end of the solar system. How does that happen? Your gyroscope wasn't, this is not a political symbol, it's turning my webcam motion sensor off. That gyroscope wasn't set properly, or wasn't there at all. It wasn't there at all. Having a strong relationship with God, it's like what he says in the Bible, man. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get in heaven. And everybody's like, oh no, is that impossible? And that's where he said, with man, little is possible. I'm paraphrasing, but with God, all things are possible. It's not to say that rich people can't and don't go to heaven. That's not the point. It's very difficult, though. Why? Because the more success you have, the more money you have, the more options you have. And options in the real world often aren't very good, right? If you're kind of an ugly dude, you kind of look like me, right? And you make a little bit of money, you could get a lot of women. You weren't getting any women before looking the way you do, but as soon as you dump $1 million on there, now all of a sudden you got women lining out the door. Your inbox is full, right? Well, you didn't have a lot of money before. You were stuck in a small town. Now you got a lot of money and you could travel. You could experience new things and new drugs and new clubs and new this and new vices. Very difficult for rich people to get to heaven because it opens up a whole new, it opens up a lot of doors, okay? But I'm not talking about all that. What I am talking about is that your relationship with God and the strength of that relationship will determine ultimately how well you handle your anxiety and whether or not you handle your anxiety in a healthy, productive way or a destructive way. Number two is what you do with your mind. What are you consuming with your mind? If you are consuming just an endless stream of social media, which is generally negative, what you have to understand is that most of what's on the internet, most of what's on the TV, most of what's on whatever you're watching is negative. We are surrounded by a constant narrative of war and disease and death and strife and race wars and this and that, this group of people and that group of people and the gays and this person and the black person and the white person, all this stuff, constant. It's constant. It's 24/7 negativity, and they do that for a reason. Number one, it sells because people secretly love drama and negativity. But number two, they want to keep you in a defeated, scared mental state. Turn off the news. There's no reason for you to sit there and watch hog slop, whether it's CNN or Fox. So funny, people will tell me, oh, I would never watch CNN. I only watch Fox. And I'm like, well, you're just as big of an idiot as the CNN people. You think the Fox people are telling the truth? You think any of them are telling the truth? Wake up. They all hate you. They all hate you. It's all a game. It's all a game. It's like, okay, here we go. I'm a big, mean kid. And I was watching these ants today fight. And some were kind of red and some were black, and they were tearing each other apart. And I'm like, how funny is that? What a little microcosm of society that is right there. Oh, we're red and we're black. Let's rip each other apart. That's what all these things do. There's no good news outlets. There's no good news sources. There's no, I don't care how off the beaten path you think you are. I was talking about this the other day. The popular people that have a voice because the overlords, the ones that are lizards and demons and eat little babies, okay, they want you to listen to them. You think Candace Owens is in her position because like she just is such a rebel and gets to have, you know what they do to the people that have real voices? They completely erase them from the face of the planet. They either kill them, they throw them in jail, or they deplatform them and take their bank accounts. So until that talking head that you're listening to up there all day long, reposting their views and takes, blah, 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 I'm in the right because Candace Owens said so, and she's such a part. And this other guy, that one dude on Instagram, the black guy that wears the Trump hat, said so. They're there because they're allowed to be there. Do you think that the demonic powers that run the world would allow these people to stay alive or stay on Instagram if what they were saying was truth? Wrong. No, it would wipe them off or throw them in jail or take away. There's this kid that I like. His name is Nick Fuentes. He's going to be real harsh for some of you to listen to, but they've taken everything from that kid. He can't even open a bank account. That's what happens to people that speak the truth. So turn off your conservative neocon just slop. Turn it off. Same with the liberals. I didn't even have to touch on the liberals. You are even stupider. Liberals are even worse. But I have a good amount. People would be like, this says my back hurts, by the way, not MAGA. Okay, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not an anything fan. I hate the whole thing. The whole establishment needs burned to the ground. And all of it, hypothetically, in Minecraft, needs burned to the ground. We need a hard reset. All these politicians got to go, hypothetically, in Minecraft, need to be executed, hypothetically, in Minecraft. I do not condone violence. Violence is bad. You should never be violent. That's very naughty. Naughty, having violent thoughts. Bad boy, bad girl. All right. Anyways, all of this stuff you're watching is crap. Well, the shows that you're watching, death, murder, rape, suicide, drug use, alcohol, and you're just sitting there. I'm not saying you can't watch your shows every once in a while. I'm not saying that you can't try to stay informed. But if it's outweighing any like good, positive reading and listening that you're doing, you want something to listen to my podcast. I ran on there sometimes when I'm generally trying to give you some good stuff. Listen to, there's all kinds. I don't need to tell you to listen what type of podcast. You want to listen to podcast, I'll get you a list of podcasts. But you should be listening to positive material. You should be watching positive material. You should be reading more than anything else positive material so that your cheese doesn't slip off your cracker. Okay. Third, taking care of your body. You're going to work in a high stress, high anxiety environment. You need to take care of your temple. You need to take care of your body. You need to take care of your body, which means that you get sunlight, that you get your feet on the earth, that you drink a lot of water and salt. You need salt, that you eat good, real food. Most diets are garbage. They are trash. Most health food is garbage and trash. Salad is not the answer. Eating blended vegetables, drinking blended vegetables is not the answer. If you want to get healthy and you want to build some muscle and look good, you got to eat real food. Eggs, butter, beef. Like I love my grass-fed steaks. I love my Wagyu. I love my bison. I love my elk. Organ meat. You can have some rice and some veggies every once in a while if you want. Honey, stuff like that. And you need to work out. And the best way to burn fat, the best way to look good, the best way to burn calories is heavy weightlifting. It is not running. I see too many of you running 45 minutes a day every single day, and you wonder why you got the same weird pear-shaped, kind of soft, crappy body that you did a year ago. You wonder why? You need to lift some weights, please. You can run a couple days a week. I used to love to run. That's all I used to do. But I was this little thin, tiny, and then I got like soft bodied. I'm only insulting you because I've been in the same place you were. I was this little pudgy with my fat hanging over my belt. It looked like I had wide hips, no bird chested from running. Would run twice a week and thought I was doing something. No, you need to lift heavy weights. But all this, I'm not going to get into fitness right now. You need to take care of your body. Spirit, mind, body. I used to be a part of an organization that said mind, body, spirit. It's spirit, mind, body. Spirit, mind. And really, it's almost spirit, body, mind, because I feel like it's much easier to stay positive when you feel good. It's really hard to stay positive when your body's falling apart and you can't get out of an armchair without like 6 people holding you up. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. Anxiety. Learn how to use it. Weaponize it. Use it for healthy motivation, but make sure there is a balance of spiritual care associated with the use of anxiety. You got to treat it like it's, like I said, it's a weapon. You got to be careful with it. You got to be careful. Remember what I said. It's cheap, it burns fast, and it's, what was it? I don't remember. Burns fast and it spreads quicker. Something. Go back to that part of the episode. That was right off the top of the lid. So, anyways, I got mine. I'm growing back like the mullet mohawk thing. Yeah, baby. This is how you know I'm in savage mode right now. It's a fucking lucky in Minecraft. You like this shirt? Check this out. Hold on. At the bottom it says never surrender. Can you see it? Yeah, there we go. Never surrender. I've got another one that I'll wear the other one for the next podcast. Oh, I need a new chair. This thing sucks. What else can we talk about? These are all my little sister's books, by the way. These aren't mine. My little sister's a huge horror fan, and some of Geneva's. Geneva likes James Patterson. I'm just happy to see people read, man. I love seeing that my wife reads. I love seeing that my little sister reads. I love watching people read. Such a good thing for you to do. Such a good thing for you to do. Physique update. I'm like 237 pounds. I'm going to really start rolling jiu-jitsu hard. I know I've been saying that a lot. I'm going to really start here very soon, probably this week. It's just hard when you travel. That's not an excuse. Excuses. And Muay Thai. I really want to start getting into Muay Thai. You see, I can't grow my shoulders, like genetically, my calves and my shoulders just it looks small, right? There's a shoulder. Body dysmorphia really kicks in when you start getting big. I have to ask my wife every once in a while. I'm like, I'm still a big boy, right? She's like, yes, honey, you're a big guy. You're a big boy. But anybody here that like lifts a lot or is very physically active, you know what I'm talking about. Body dysmorphia is very real to it. I'm like, I'll look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, fat and small. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes I look in the mirror and I get like a God complex. I'm like, man, dude, I'm a monster. There's no in between. Maybe I'll get there someday. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Let's get it. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whatever day, whatever you're listening to me. This is Mike Russin signing off for Obsidian Achievement.